coming to you from the producer Derek studio here in Elyria, Ohio. It is the 90th episode of Cleveland Sports Realm. Good evening, everyone, and welcome on in as we'll do episode 90 in honor of a guy who the Browns got fleeced trading him away. I thought was Emmanuel Ogbah. He was a very talented player here, and they ended up getting a crap safety who never did anything. That's not what we're going to hear to talk about tonight. The Browns, we're not going to bother with them because we can bother with them for probably the rest of the fall. But I'm here, Jerome, here alongside Kevin and, of course, Derek from the Derek Studios. And, Kevin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, buddy, and the reason that I'm doing so well as we record this Tuesday evening is because it was just over 24 hours ago since the recording that the Guardians made three huge moves to bolster this team that we really only thought one was coming, and within that last hour of the trade deadline, two big moves end up coming, and the Tribe are off and rolling.
Yeah, absolutely, and I couldn't be more happy about it. It's about time. That's the way I feel. I'm really, really excited. I think it's been long overdue. I guess you could argue in 2024 they straight bought with Lane Thomas and Alex Cobb, and the Alex Cobb one really
was a nothing burger.
Didn't turn out well because of injury. Lane Thomas will probably forever be remembered for hitting that grand slam off of Tarek, who also got traded. And we can cover that as we kind of do a whole more bigger landscape of the MLB, bigger deadline winners and losers. But we are primarily going to focus on the Guardians, and it's going to be in a positive manner. And I think it is due tonight to them because we have been very negative. And it's not that we want to be negative. We've been realists this year, and this offense stunk, and they needed some bolstering to it, and they did that yesterday. So I guess we'll start really, we should probably start with Saturday's morning's trade, right around brunch time, if you will. The Guardians traded Bo Naylor, which I think as soon as you acquired Patrick Bailey, it was just more of a clock as to when they were going to trade Bo Naylor.
When, not if.
Right, exactly. So Bo Naylor and Cody Hoyer went to the Brewers. Cody Hoyer's already been relocated to Baltimore, by the way. And Cody Hoyer stunk here, so I had no problem with that. And you get back Blake Perkins, and you're thinking, oh, good God.
Another 150 hitter.
What is their obsession and fetish for guys who batting averages start with one? But then you see Craig Yoho added to it, and you say, wow, a guy who, I'm going to get a little analytical here for a second, a guy who has big extension, and the Guardians love extension. That's why if you look at all their pitching acquisitions over the last 3 years or so, every guy's extension is over in the 90th percentile or more. And then you see, scouts and evaluators and people who know way more about Craig Yoho than I do tell you that changeup's great, and he comes out and debuts good on Sunday. So you're thinking, okay, that's not a bad trade at all. You're not displeased with it, but you're thinking this can't be it, right?
Well, and we thought for sure like the bullpen was something that needed to be addressed by the deadline, and they got another right-hander. So.
Right, exactly. And I think, so we both had the same sort of thoughts. Okay, good. They got Craig Yoho, Blake Perkins, whatever. They got probably almost a poor man's Petey Halpin in the sense of he can play good defense. He can swipe some bags, but he also can't hit. So you're thinking, well, this is right up their alley if that's what they love to acquire. And then you're thinking, oh, please don't be it. Please don't be it. And it wasn't, because then yesterday around lunchtime, right around noon, You see that the Guardians have acquired Joe Adell, and you're like, wow, this is a good move. But again, please don't be it. It wasn't. But let's take these one at a time. So go ahead and give me your thoughts on Joe Adell. I also like that they also only gave up a Double-A catcher, Jacob Kozart, who was, yes, he was their 15th ranked prospect. Again, like a nothing burger, because you have Patrick Bailey. Austin Hedges is lighting the world on fire with his bat. At AAA, you have Cooper Ingle, who they did not trade. I was sure as shit they were going to trade him yesterday in one of the deadline moves. They did not. And you also have Cody Huff, who people forget about. He was acquired from the Rockies years ago in the Cal Quantrill trade, and he's lighting it up at AAA. So when was this Jacob Kozart going to see the majors? In 2090, maybe? There was a block here for him, and you're thinking, wow, for Joe Adell with a not just this year and then maybe next year of control. Obviously, that's all up in the air with the lockout, but you're like, hey, I like that, and we didn't give up hardly anything.
Yeah, I thought it was funny the Joe Adell trade, because we sat here, I want to say last episode or 2 episodes ago, and we both were advocating for a right-handed bat. And I had asked you, do you think he's batting 240 or above and have 10-plus bombs and played in over half the games? And Joe Adell is just below 240. And when I say that, I mean like 238, 239.
Yeah.
Home runs, he's at 16, obviously fantastic. And then he's played in over 100 games already for the Angels, so he's an everyday player. So obviously he's a lefty masher. It reminds me a lot of the Lane Thomas deal of a few years ago, except he's not going to give you what Lane does on the base paths, and he's not really the outfielder that Lane is. I mean, this is strictly you're going after him for his bat. And I do want to see Joe Adell every day in right field. As you said, Jerome, he's batting second. Today, again, we're recording Tuesday, so we're going to be about a day and a half behind when this episode releases. But batting second today as the Tribe are facing a lefty. So they're giving him the ample at-bats immediately off rip, which I absolutely love. And this is a guy you can't expect him to be an amazing fielder. I know he had earlier this year the home run saving leaps at the wall for the Angels. And obviously the one picture that's gone viral of the fan that's right behind him, of him holding up the glove after his third. That was a cool
picture, yeah.
A great picture. But, I mean, don't expect that. I was actually reading from an Angels insider, or a guy that advocately – He watches the Angels like week in, week out, daily, I should say. But apparently he makes all of these great plays because of how bad he is at tracking the ball.
Yes, I was reading that.
Thing, yeah. So can't expect amazing defense from him, but it'll be nice to know that DeLauder's not going to be out in the field every day and minimize the injuries for him as well. So almost killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Again, just acquiring the right-handed power bat that you need. You just can't expect him to be amazing against righties. But if he's batting 220 against righties and 300-plus against lefties and going to give you around 30 home runs for the year, I'm completely okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, this offense was so poor that Joe Adell showed up and was instantly the home run leader. You don't normally have something like that happen at a deadline, but he also was instantly their RBI leader. And
home run leader.
Yeah, I just had said that one. No, and I think, again, he's hitting 300 plus against lefties. Now, last year he had 37 home runs and he hit a lot better against righties. That stuff doesn't necessarily, I think that front offices and managers make so much of it, the righty-lefty stuff, but
Same.
It doesn't translate year to year. Like last year, Joe Adell mashed against everybody. And then this year, Joe Adell can't hit righties and he's mashing lefties like a straight platoon bat. But I think that you acquired Joe Adell, he's playing every day.
And
Chris Antonetti all but assured that yesterday because he even said so himself. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he's like, Joe's a guy we know can hit lefties, and we also is a guy we know can, we think will improve under righties, in the lineup. And as bad as the Tribe lineup was, Joe Adell it's still probably a better lineup than he was hitting with in Anaheim. And so therefore I think, this is a good spot for Joe Adell. Now, if you're if folks, listening or watching or unfamiliar with the backstory of Joe Adell, at one time Joe Adell was thought of as the heir to the throne of Mike Trout in LA. Like his evaluations in the minor leagues were off the charts. When he first came up, he was horrible. And he never really figured it out until kind of last year. And then this year he's been decent. So, but supposedly the Guardians admitted themselves, Chris Antonetti did in the press conference yesterday, they've loved Joe Adell for a long time. And then reports came out, they've been trying to acquire Joe Adell all the way back since 2018. Joe Adell was drafted in 2017. So the Guardians have had their eyes on Joe Adell for 8 years.
For close to a decade, yeah.
And they got what they wanted yesterday. And again, the best part to me is for all the geeks out there who love hoarding prospects, and that's a lot of you on Twitter love it, and the front office themselves loves it. You prospect geeks have to be thrilled because they didn't give up anything to get Joe Adell.
Yeah. Well, and Cozart, he was if I remember correctly, he was in the same draft that we drafted Bazana, right?
That's
He
correct.
was a second-round pick
He was
that
the
year?
second-round pick
Yeah.
of 2024.
Yeah.
But again, like we have discussed, and we'll say it again, just to emphasize it, he was never coming close to sniffing the big leagues anytime soon with
Right.
how, all the things that are blocking him and all the bodies and better talent that's blocking him. And the Angels farm system stinks so bad, so good for them. They got maybe their catcher of the future. And you know what? Quite frankly, if Cozart comes out to be a great catcher for the Angels, I won't care. Won't bother me.
Honestly, it'll probably bother me if if this ends up being, if Joe Adell ends up just like, I mean, how many years of control does he have?
So he has the rest of this year and next year.
Which might not happen.
Right. So we don't know.
If we get half a year of Joe Adell and we don't even make it to the ALDS and Cozart ends up being an all-star, like, I think we're going to look at this trade as they were desperate. Which, I mean, we were, though.
We are. Yeah, you're
so
100%
it's not,
right.
But it is one of those things that you just end up looking back on. It's like, yeah, like, I get it from the Tribe standpoint. And quite frankly, I get it from the Angels standpoint as well. I mean, it's really, the organization's arguably the worst-run organization in the entire MLB.
I may be arguing pro sports.
You think so?
I mean, to have the kind of...
I mean, we live in a city with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, no, I get that. But to have the two kind of stalwarts that they did and, you know, two first-ballot surefire Hall of Famers and never qualify for the postseason or be able to build a team around them is one of the absolute biggest disgraces in sports since I've been alive.
It's one of the biggest travesties and waste of years for those two. I mean, at one point you could have argued those were the two best players in the entire MLB.
Absolutely.
And they never made a postseason run. So
No.
it's unbelievable what they managed to screw up. So, but yeah, ideally, Jerome, where do you see? Obviously, the Tribe have Adell batting second tonight. Again, recording Tuesday. They've got him batting second. Obviously, Jose Ramirez being out of the lineup with the soreness and the same hand that he had broken just a couple months back.
So that's a little worrisome. Let's call it for what it is.
Right. Where do you see, like hypothetically speaking, a fully healthy Guardians lineup? Where do you see Joe Adell sliding in?
Yeah, I'd probably hit Joe Adell cleanup against lefties. I really would. And, you know, and we'll get to the other trade, right? I mean, Rhys Hoskins is hitting cleanup tonight against lefties. I mean, if you've been a fan of this podcast, you know we're like the Rhys Hoskins supporter podcast, Rhys Hoskins enthusiasts, you can call us. But let's call it for what it is. He's hitting 179 this year, and ironically, he's hit a lot better against righties than lefties. And, you know, that's why, and we'll get to it, the moves that they made a little bit roster-wise surprised me because now Rhys Hoskins, with what happened at the rest of the trade deadline yesterday, Kevin, he's exclusively going to face left-handers now. So, which is interesting to me because, again, we just talked about it. They're so obsessed with platoons, and it's not a Guardians exclusive thing. It's MLB-wide. They're so obsessed with strong side and weak side platoons that it becomes out of control. And so now you're going to let Rhys Hoskins hit cleanup tonight. I think Joe Adell has to hit cleanup against lefties because if you're truly, and maybe Rhys Hoskins could hit sixth or fifth or something a little bit further down. I'm thinking six would be ideal. But if Jose's healthy, then he's probably going to hit two. DeLauder's going to hit three. I think you bat Adell cleanup against lefties.
Okay, yeah, I would argue the same exact standpoint at this juncture. I would argue, I mean, anywhere between 4 through 6, I genuinely have no problem. I don't think Joe Adell is a top third of the lineup guy, but I do think he's middle third of the lineup guy. I think anything 7 or lower is way too low to bat him, specifically for this lineup.
Yes.
I could see the case being made for the other acquisition that we'll obviously talk about later at first base. I could see an argument for him being above Adell in the lineup.
I think against righties, yeah, I think that's your cleanup hitter.
I think so as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they structure the lineup from here on out, knowing that they really want to have Jose at second. I know you and I are still I think you're still in the same camp as me. As I think 3 is his home, and it just feels weird seeing him in any other spot. But assuming that they're going to bat Jose second, I think Adell at 4 makes the most sense against lefties, and against righties, I think fifth, maybe 6th, just depending on how the lineup. I mean, if you're going to have DeLauder at 3 and let's say Lowe at 4, Maybe you do slide Adele in at 5 and then have Bazana at 6 just to split up the lefties and righties. It does become interesting because I think 6 is too low for Travis.
What I would like to do would probably be, Quan had, I mean, he's got flames coming out of his ass from the month of July. I mean, you know, and I'll be quite honest, I was truly ready to designate him for assignment. I was fed up. I mean, I can only watch so many rollers with an exit velo of 40 miles an hour slowly roll to second base and how many pop-ups. But what Quan did was he went back to his 2022 approach. Zach Meisel wrote a great article on it in the Athletic about how Quan went back to what worked for his phenomenal rookie season. And I'm sure he's going to have to adjust again because in August people are going to adjust to his phenomenal July. But for right now, lefty righty, no matter what, Quan's back in his customary one spot.
Are they gonna for sure platoon Lowe and Hoskins?
100%.
Has that been confirmed?
Chris Antonetti said as much yesterday.
Okay, so here's straight up what I would do. Here's how I would construct the lineup. I know they're not going to do this, but this is what I would do. Quan Bazana 1-2, Jose 3, 4 and 5 alternate Adele and DeLauder based off the matchup. So against a righty, I'd clean up DeLauder. Against a lefty, I'd clean up Adele, have the other one bat 5th, and then just swap Hoskins and Lowe at 6. And I think the lineup just gets that much deeper.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to do that though.
No, I think Lowe's going to hit cleanup against righties for sure. Let's talk about. Well, I guess we'll go in order of the trades they made. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching the trade deadline special, and they're talking about the usual big markets. They're talking about, well, Philly needs to do this, and the Red Sox, they got Adley, and the Yankees, they didn't get their catcher, and then all of a sudden Jeff Passan pops up on my screen and says Cleveland Guardians are making another trade, and it's Foster Griffin. And I was shocked at first because I didn't know that. I try to keep up with as many rumors as possible. I knew that they were supposedly in the market for an outfield bat and potentially 2 bats, but never once. And one thing about the Guardians is they run like Area 51 around there. Nobody really ever knows what they're doing. They're very, very secretive and very, behind the scenes. Like even the best insiders, the Passons of the world and the Rosenthals, they were shocked yesterday to tell you what happened. And so, I think when they got Foster Griffin, and then it comes out from the Guardians themselves, Chris Antonetti sorry everyone. Chris Antonetti admitted it, and so did a lot of the insiders that the Guardians have been sniffing around the starting pitching market for months now. They wanted another starter, which I applaud them for this because we all know, everyone who watches the team on a day in and day out basis like we do, starting pitching is their bread and butter and has been for probably the last 15 to 20 years, really back to CC and Cliff. They've never really had a great offense outside of a little 2-year run in 16 and 17, and that wasn't even that was a league average offense to maybe 10 to 15 type offense. So they decided to get Foster.
2017 was a pretty ridiculous. I don't know if it was numbers wise, but I mean just lineup 1 through 9. 2017 was a pretty insane team.
It was, but I think it ended up being like 10 to 15. Maybe they snuck in top 10. But overarching point being, for the last 20 years, they have not been a good offensive team, and pitching's been their bread and butter, and that's what makes them, be able to be in it without spending money every year. And so to see them go out there and get a starting pitcher who was probably the cheapest pitcher on the market, which I have no problem with, because, I'm actually going to applaud them. Everybody hold your breath here for not spending money. This is actually never happens. But, a lot of people knew that Luis Castillo was on the market. And Luis Castillo, when he was at the Reds and even when he got traded to the Mariners, was a phenomenal pitcher at one time. I mean, just excellent. And he stinks. And the White Sox absorbed all that money, and the guy's not been any good. Versus the Guardians, they actually played it smart. They didn't absorb hardly any money. I think they owe Griffin like $1.5 million the rest of the year, which is in baseball is like, collecting the spare change cup outside the street, you know? And so they get him at 5.5 million 1 year. So they're going to absorb about $1.5 million to $2 million of that, Kevin. And he's been an all-star. And I think also a cool story because you've seen this happen with a couple other guys. Cody Ponce, I know, is one of them. Eric Fetty is another one. And now Foster Griffin. Guys that absolutely are horrendous and unwatchable in the major leagues go to Japan and then come back and become phenomenal. And that's the story of Foster Griffin. The Nationals bought low on him, and they probably figured they weren't going to be as good as they were this year. And again, because it's only a rental, they didn't give up any prospects of note. They used a couple of the guys they got in your favorite players trade a couple of years ago, the Andres Menace trade. They flipped a couple of those kids they got, Nick Mitchell and Josh Hartle, I believe is the kid's name. And they flipped those plus 2 other 19-year-olds to the Nationals. So the Nationals were clearly going volume when the Guardians were like, hey, we know we're going to have Foster Griffin for 2 months, but we're going to use it. And it's going to push Slade Ciccone to the bullpen. Nothing against Slade, but I think he could be effective in that role too.
Yeah, this one was the most surprising trade for me, just because I thought, while you and I had talked the last couple weeks about the potential of adding a starting pitcher, we always said it was bullpen help and then grabbing a bat, and then maybe starting pitcher would be third, maybe fourth priority when it came to the deadline. So this one did take me off guard. It's also pretty cool when you look at the starting lineup now that the Tribe have 3 lefties in the starting lineup, Messick, Griffin, and then Cantillo, and all 3 are phenomenal. So, and then Gavin's your one, obviously. So and then Bybee all reliable, which is funny. It's funny to call Tanner Bybee all reliable.
But he feels like he's been here forever.
I know, because him and
been...
Gavin are like, I think the same age, and I think one might be older, like a year older than the other one, but they're the same age, and there's been the battle in this town up until like the last year and a half of who's better, Gavin or Tanner Bybee, like who would you rather have? It seems like Tanner Bybee's the one you look at, all reliable, put him as your 3 or your 4 and you're solid, which you definitely are. But yeah, for what they gave up for him, I never want to call prospects like nobodies, just because like Junior Caminero, nobody knew who the hell he was when we traded him. You know, Yainer Diaz, it was like, oh, you know, this is our AA catcher or whatever, and the Miles Straw deal. Who knows what they're going to be? And then they end up going on to different organizations who obviously develop hitting better than we do.
Sure.
So even if we kept them, they're probably not going to be who they are now. But still, depending on how and no one's going to trust the Angels to develop the player that they got. Nobody's going to trust, I don't think, the Nationals to develop the 4 players that they got just based off of their track record the last few years. But we'll see what happens in the next 3 to 5 years, what those players end up amounting to. But, you know, for as many prospects as the Indians, the Guardians love to hoard, to give up the 4 that they did and still have, I believe, your top 15 prospects intact, I think it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think, you know, from a point of their point of view, like, let's look at it. Okay, you know, and I'm not trying to be negative again, and this is a very positive episode and as it should be.
Yeah.
But Gavin Williams has been an absolute ace. We saw it. He can pitch in the postseason. We've seen that. Tanner Bybee, he can pitch in the postseason. I love Parker Messick. He's been phenomenal this year. Nobody knows what the hell Parker Messick's going to do in the postseason. And also, Parker Messick's never thrown close to the amount of innings that he's going to be hitting very soon here.
Yeah.
So does he have a September collapse? Maybe. You don't know, but they have insurance policy if he does now because, again, maybe you could argue too, nobody knows what Foster Griffin's going to do, but you got to like your chances on a guy who's redeveloped himself and also coming to the pitching factory. He may even get better. I like the odds. Now, if you're unfamiliar with his work, he's not going to blow you away. Don't expect the guy to come out here and see flames coming out of his ass when he fires the ball out of the mound. Fastball sits about 91, 92. There's a lot of junk involved, though. He throws about 8 different pitches, but he gets outs at a very effective level, enough to be a National League All-Star and have an ERA
sitting right at 3.
Right around 3. So I also think the same thing with Joey Cantillo. He has been a guy his whole career who's been for years up and down. You know, he's our guy who's constantly on the Cleveland to Columbus shuttle. Well, this year he's assured himself of staying in the rotation. But again, you don't know how he's going to finish out with throwing the amount of innings he's never thrown before. And also Cantillo's one time in the postseason didn't go very well, in 2024.
Yeah.
And then finally you have Slade Ciccone, who last year was good, but the problem was the analytics geek said he's due for a blow up. And then that kind of happened in April this year. And then in May and June, he was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, one of the best pitchers in the American League. But then in July, he kind of blew up a little bit again. I mean, not the whole month, but the last couple starts, not great. Whatever. But I think if you look at the analytical numbers on Slade, you can see why this is smart and he could be an effective bullpen option because of the simple reason that the first 2 times through the order, really, really good. The third time through the order is usually an unmitigated disaster.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I think putting a guy like Slade Ciccone into the bullpen, a guy who too has the stamina to pitch 2 to 3 innings if needed out of the pen, I think it's going to make the starting rotation. It's going to put less pressure on the starting rotation. And I think just if you had a bullpen game, let's say like the night prior, and your pitcher can only go 4 or 5 innings, then you throw Ciccone out there for 2 to 3, and then you're back into Cade Smith territory.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you entirely. And I also think the other thing is Slade Ciccone as your 6th starter is kind of good pitching depth. Not kind of it. It's damn good pitching depth. And I think I'm really hoping I'm wrong on this, but hypothetically, if Parker or Joey blow up because they've never had this amount of stress on their arms, okay, we can stretch him out and throw him right back in the rotation. Or even if Foster Griffin. But again, this was another trade that I thought, wow, smart trade. You didn't take on hardly any money, and you gave up 2 19-year-olds, Josh Hartle, Josh Hartle is one of the 19-year-olds. Another one who, his name's escaping me. His last name's Vargas, but he's in single A, and I guess he throws hard but no control. That's the Nationals' problem to get him to throw strikes now. And then you gave up Nick Mitchell, who's the outfielder one of the outfielders you had got in the Jimenez deal. And then Will Dion, who we saw, who this year, he's quite frankly to me just a guy. Like, there's nothing special about Will Dion. He's an innings eater. He can mop you up in some bullpen when you're down 8-2 type games. So then we think we're done. And at this point, I'm on Twitter. I think you are. Everybody's thrilled. Everybody's ecstatic. Wow, what a deadline. And then Chris said, hold your beer, fellas. We're not done yet.
We actually, in one of our group chats that we have, our fantasy baseball group chat, a friend of the show, Phil Yan, had said there's still a glaring hole at first base around like 5:15 or 5:20, I believe. And then at 5:58, what news broke, Jerome?
Yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm watching the end of the trade deadline special, and I think the host at ESPN, I think it was Kevin Connors, says, well, Jeff, what else do we have? And he goes, you guys are going to be shocked. He goes, but they're not done yet. The Cleveland when he said the Cleveland Guardians, I'm on the couch, Kevin, and my jaw hit the carpet in the living room. I could not believe they were going back for a third piece, and they did. The Cleveland Guardians acquired Nathaniel Lowe from the Cincinnati Reds for another 19-year-old who, if he's good in 4 years, God bless him. I mean, they needed this desperately. Let's talk about Nathaniel Lowe real quick. The quick bio blast on him. Was a top prospect for the Rangers and was a very, very good player for the Rangers for a handful of years. 2024 going into 2025 off season, he had gotten traded to the Nationals because the Nationals had a glaring hole at first base. He did okay there, but not great. Nationals ended up falling out of it. They didn't find a trade partner for him. They DFA'd him. He ends up finishing last year with the Red Sox, and it really didn't go well at all for him there. So Nathaniel Lowe's market was not very good this offseason. He ends up signing a minor league deal, NRI, with the Reds, and tore it up in spring training, mashed righties all spring, and his mashed righties all year for the Reds to the tune of like 12 home runs, 50-some RBIs, and I believe a
268-ish.
I believe right around a 270 average. we had been very critical of Kyle Manzardo on this program. In fact, last week we spent extensive time on Kyle Manzardo and how it's just been disappointing and it's not been good enough. And one thing I'll say is I was shocked that they, first of all, because of the fact they're so loyal to their guys, and it actually ends up butting them in the ass a lot of times. And I thought, there's no way they're gonna, they need it, they desperately need it, but there's no way they're gonna bring in Nathaniel Lowe as a rental because he's been much better than Manzardo, and they did, and they shocked me, and they did it, and I applaud them greatly for it because Kyle wasn't getting it done. Also, a little bit of tidbit of information. That had to be the first time, maybe ever, in Major League Baseball that a team's home run leader was sent to the minors. But it's not really a testament to Kyle Manzardo. It's more a testament to the Guardians' shitty offense.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the addition of Nathaniel Lowe, as we were kind of alluding to earlier, just it lengthens the lineup so much, and it really gives you from 4 through 6, really from 1 through 6, no real glaring holes right there. I mean, if you want to consider if Rocchio is going to be the guy at 7, then it's really 1 through 7 with no glaring holes at all. And then you're going to get what you get out of Bailey. He's out there for the defense, which he's been
hitting the ball well though lately. I got to give it to him.
Yeah, I think I was reading since he's been a Guardian, he's batted like over 210. Which, I mean, you're going to take that from your catcher nowadays.
Absolutely.
Especially with the defense that he can provide too. So I'm excited for this for the latter half of the season right now. I know we're over halfway through the season, but I'm excited for the potential of what this team can be, especially with these additions. The 2 bats that you added, you really needed to add the righty masher that we were talking about and the consistent lefty that can play first base. I mean, they did exactly what we wanted them to do at this trade deadline. You couldn't really ask for anything more. So there's one thing left to do.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. I agree with you. So I guess from here, let's talk about the fallout of the guys who they've been loyal to for a long time. But the crazy thing was somebody had tweeted a picture of the ALCS roster from 2024. And Kevin, the craziest thing is there's like 5 guys from that roster that was in the American League Championship Series 2 years ago that were playing for the Columbus Clippers. And then Bo Naylor got traded, and now I think it's down to 3. To me, that's crazy because it's Schneemann, it's Manzardo, and it's Fry. And Manzardo and Fry in that 2024 postseason were magnificent. Yeah. Obviously, we know what happened with Fry. He ended up having that Tommy John surgery after that year, and then last year he stunk, and then he finally seemed to get it going a little bit in September, and then he got hit in the face by Tarek Skubal, and then he was out for the year. And then Manzardo last year, he was really good in 24, and there was big expectations going into 25, and he from a home run point of view, absolutely, I don't know what to say, achieved those expectations or achieve those goals. He hit 27 home runs and he just never got it going this year. And ironically, when they do send him down, I think he had far and away statistically his best week of the season, but you just can't count on that. And I this is a front office who I criticize extensively for a lot of things they do wrong. And I'm never shy to talk about it, but when they do things right, I got to applaud them too. They oftentimes sit on their own hands and just expect their guys to come out of it. And I thought for sure that we were just kind of stuck with Manzardo for the rest of the year. And then, it was brought to my attention that Chris Antonetti on Saturday, that somebody had brought up Manzardo at the when he had done a press briefing after the Bo Naylor for Craig Yoho trade. And he had said, basically in a nutshell, he was like, yeah, Kyle hasn't been good enough this year. And I was like, whoa, they must really not be happy because they never say shit like that publicly. And for him to get up in front of a microphone and criticize Kyle Manzardo, I was taken aback. I was flabbergasted. And I think Manzardo maybe is still in their long-term plans. If he is, I'm sure he probably is. I hope not, kind of at this point. I wouldn't mind trading him in the offseason, whatever. On the flip side, I hate to say it because 2024, I mean, his playoffs, the walk-off home run against the Yankees, the home run to tie the Tigers series up.
Yep.
I mean, David Fry was a folk hero around here in 2024. And 2025, he stunk. Okay, we blamed it on the Tommy
The
John. This year, he stunk. He has gotten very limited at bats. Kevin, this is a guy who I thought it was the entire month of July. This is a guy who has not gotten a hit since July 2nd. And I was at that game, and I remember him getting that hit. Actually, I just didn't realize it was the last time he got a hit. I think David Fry's been in the league for a long time. Let me just say this. The sending him to AAA now is just to probably, for whatever, just in case they need depth or somebody gets hurt and they can bring him up easily, for the stretch run here. I'm pretty confident when I say I unfortunately think David Fry is going to be a DFA this offseason.
Do you really?
I do. I think it's over. I mean, it's been really bad for 18 months now, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. And I think that you have to move on, and I think that, like I said, I think the reason they didn't DFA him yet is because I do think somebody would claim David Fry on waivers. I really do. But I don't think the Guardians wanted to expose him to that, and they thought, well, we'll leave him down there in AAA, and if worse comes to worse and we have some injuries, he's insurance policy. And at the end of the year, I think David Fry will be hasta la vista.
Oh, that sucks, man, if that's the case. I could see it happening now that you're talking about it, but man, that does suck, though, dude, because of the memories you were just talking about. Like, I remember being at an establishment in Lakewood when he hit that bomb to tie the game up against the Tigers.
Yeah,
I remember being at a different establishment when he hit the winning home run against the Yankees.
Sure,
like, big time plays in that series. Like, that's, you look back at that run in the postseason, and it's really. Like Manzardo, Fry, and Lane Thomas are the three people that you think of immediately.
Absolutely.
And then even Jimenez to a point, just because of the few great defensive plays that he made throughout those playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, those are the 3 to 4 players that you look at, and none of them are up for the Tribe right now, or in the organization for 2 of them.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I was not surprised that David Fry got optioned to AAA at all. Like, I actually was kind of more surprised it wasn't a DFA now, but then I thought about it. I'm like, okay, it makes sense as an insurance policy. I have to go here. The Manzardo thing, whatever, I was really more so hoping there was a DFA for Arias. That's what I was hoping the low move would be.
And they throw him out in the starting lineup.
And then he's hitting 7th tonight. Yeah. And I saw somebody else say that too. Like, that's not a me original take by any means. Like, someone's like, the only worst part of this all this roster shuffling, and somehow Gabriel Arias escapes again, and he does. He continues to just. Although I guess he's had the last couple of weeks he's hit the ball well. So I mean they keep him around when he hits 190. They're sure as hell going to keep him around, I guess, when he hits 250. But with all in all, I think it was very good yesterday. Now.
Yeah.
Do I think that it instantly makes them the best team in the American League? No, but one national insider does.
Buster Olney thinks so. Yeah. He thinks they're the best team in the AL now.
And go ahead, Kevin. Please take it first.
No, I'm just gonna say. I mean, I do think that this absolutely makes the Guardians better. The Monday afternoon / evening that the organization had. And I do think it's fair. Like, I don't think it was fair as of, like, last week to be like, this team should have ALCS expectations or whatever. After the deadline that they've had from Saturday through Monday, I think it's very fair to say, hey, this is a team that if they make it into the postseason, which I do believe they will, as I've said since the beginning of the season, I believe they're a playoff team. I think it's fair to have ALCS expectations for this team as of right now.
Well, last week I was...
Especially with just where the AL is.
Absolutely. Last week I was sure as shit that they weren't going to make the playoffs, but now I'll be mad if they don't because of how weak the American League is. You went out and did things. you went out and you were more aggressive at a trade deadline than you've been since 2018 when you pushed your chips in for Brad Hand as your closer, or maybe 2017 when you pushed your chips in.
16 too. I mean, 16 through 18 they did it.
Right, exactly. And you did in this year push your chips in, but the thing was you didn't even have to give up any of your like prize jewels. You got to keep Angel Hano. You got to keep Ralphie Velasquez. You got to keep pitcher, Braden Daugherty, the top pitching prospect in the organization. So you got to keep all those guys. And so I applaud you what you did. Now, the White Sox did some things too, but I actually think the Guardians had a better deadline than them. The White Sox got, I think, again, I'm going to applaud them for saving money. I think the White Sox acquired a worse starting pitcher for $35 million more.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to say it was Ken Carman that said it this morning, because they did acquire a better pitcher as of this season. The Guardians did, for way less money.
Absolutely.
Like, do you want them to just spend more money to spend more money? Because that's what getting Luis Castillo would have been.
Right.
Would have been. So for the fans that, and I have seen, not a lot, because it's basically been 98 to 99% of the majority of fans were thrilled with how Monday went. But there were a couple that I saw that were out there, oh, of course, the payroll didn't go up anymore, and whatever, which, why would you want the payroll to go up if it doesn't make the team better? Like, you just want to be like, hey, we're middle of the road with spending money.
Well, exactly. And I mean, even from my point of view, Kevin, and I think that's a very good point. Because how often, I mean, it's once a week I take a shot at the Dolans on this podcast. We do it weekly.
Yeah, which I do want to ask you something after you're done with your point.
I think once a week I take a shot at these guys. And I think that, the truth of the matter is I take shots at them because I think a lot of my shots at them are fair. But, like, an unfair shot would be just to spend money for the sake of spending money. It's about the quality of player. And if you could get a pitcher who's only for $5.5 million, who's been one of the best starters in the entire National League this year, and you only have to give up that little in prospect capital, go right the hell ahead and do it. Go ahead, Paul. I applaud you.
Do you give the Dolans any credit for Saturday through Monday?
Not really. And honestly, and the reason why is because I guess I do. I shouldn't say I don't entirely. I give them an ounce of credit because they let their front office do their job, and they don't often do that. They chain their front office up and hide all the money from them in the off season. They don't let them do anything in the off seasons. Most of the times, at the deadline, they don't really let them do anything. Clearly, I mean, we know that they're not doing this without Paul's blessing. So I guess I applaud him slightly for giving him a blessing, but, like, at the same time, like, congratulations, you let the two people, Chris and Mike, you hired to be executives, do their job at a deadline. What am I going to give you? A bouquet of roses? Like, I don't know what people want me to say about that or how to applaud them. I guess it's a good thing they finally let the front office do their job, because they sure as hell shackled them up and chained them to floors in the offseason and didn't let them do anything until literally, like, they showed up and nobody could hit, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys can give Rhys Hoskins $1 million, but I mean, like I don't know, like, if I'm gonna applaud them, like, why I should, kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you.
No, I get it, because they were put into a bind based off of ownership, and then obviously, Antonetti and the gang make the moves that they did, and you're put in a much better spot. Obviously, you're spending a little bit more money. It's nothing crazy, so
No.
I don't want to. But I do want to say, like, the Dolans do have to receive some credit. Like, it can't be, no, I'm not giving them any credit at all.
Like I said, you let them do their job.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And I would say, like, the credit that goes to the Dolans for this is like maybe 10%, maybe. Because I think they were given a budget at the deadline, and I think Antonetti moved around that budget and did the best possible outcome that he could with what he was given.
Oh, absolutely. I think they manage it very, very smart, and as they often do, in the sense of their parameters are so little, and they do a lot for what they have. And I got to give them credit, because I think I give 90% of the credit to the front office because, again, and also I'm just proud of them for doing things they haven't done in a while. Like, typical them the last 8 years would have just been like, let's ride out the string with Manzardo. Like, no, you need a first baseman who's going to, I don't know, hit doubles and not strike out and swing it, breaking balls that are 6 feet under where somebody's coffin is in the dirt. I also think, like, the other one, too, like, you needed a right-handed stick. Go get Joe Adell. It's someone you've coveted for years, and,
didn't cost you anything.
It didn't cost you much. Like, and then go bolster your rotation and give yourself a real shot. And I also think that, I think part of it might have been like, Chris and Mike had been like, maybe they went to ownership and they were like, hey, listen, Paul, like, seriously, dude, like, the American League blows. We're not going to have to go do crazy stuff and take on crazy salary, like, to get there. But if you can just let us have like $5 million, man, we really think we have a run at this thing.
They really did. The more I'm thinking about it, like, they really did add one of everything within just the last few days. They added a bullpen piece that was a right-hander. They added a starting piece, a starting rotational piece, left-hander. They added an infielder that, well, obviously first base, but infielder who mashes righties. They added an outfielder who mashes lefties. Like, they literally were like, all right, we're gonna dabble in a little bit of each area, and hopefully everything comes together smoothly, and hopefully it does.
Absolutely. And like I said, we can't give the front office enough credit. Real quick too, I kind of wanted to go around the American League and see. We just kind of touched on what the White Sox did. They also added Joey Bart because Kyle Teal's not going to be back. They needed a catcher, and they strangely added Brenton Doyle, like, who hit a ton his rookie year and hasn't really hit at all since then. And then also, like, if you look at his numbers, the classic case of trading for a Rockies hitter, like, Brenton Doyle mashes at Coors Field. Brenton Doyle can't hit in any of the other 29 ballparks. So I thought that was kind of a strange move. Castillo, maybe they can turn him around, and they probably maybe can. I don't know. I mean, he's got to be better than he's been this year, right? So that's the White Sox. The Twins, after having the fire sale of the ages last deadline, they bought this deadline. They got themselves a couple of bullpen pieces. Their lineup is actually really, really good statistically. And I didn't realize how good it was statistically, but the Twins added a couple bullpen pieces. Tigers sold Skubal. We obviously know about that one. And they did get a last-second buzzer beater deal in to dump Mize yesterday, so they're irrelevant.
Yep.
And the Royals, they got rid of a few pieces, but, I mean, they're so god-awful, it doesn't really matter. Lane Thomas got moved to be a rental for Atlanta with Bailey Falter. I don't even know if that was, think about the only move they made. I don't remember them really doing much else.
Yeah, I don't think realistically when it comes to the White Sox, I don't think the moves that they made really elevated their team the ways that the Guardians, the moves for the Guardians did. And maybe that's me being a homer, but...
No, I agree. And the other thing I got to factor in here is look at the White Sox. They have been awful for the last 5 years. Look at the Guardians. As much as we criticize them, damn near everyone on that roster has been to a playoffs.
Yeah.
Who on that roster is not played in postseason?
Bazana.
That's it.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously DeLauder made his debut in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, and that's how desperate they were. They brought the kid up, never played in the big leagues. You're hitting fifth in an elimination game. Not going to have to do that this year to anybody, hopefully. No, honestly, I think they have the postseason experience. And Stephen Vogt has, for a guy who's only been doing this thing for 2.5+ years, like
Joe Adell probably doesn't have any playoff experience. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, not a chance. Actually,
yeah, no way.
Joe Adell's actually probably never played in a pennant race before. No, seriously.
No, I know.
Joe Adell's probably never been within 20 games of 500 at this point in the season.
And Foster Griffin probably not, because he spent the last 3 years in Japan.
He has Nipper baseball playoff experience or whatever the Japan league's called. I think it's what it's called, the MPB.
Yeah, I think October baseball in the U.S. hits a little different.
No, so our point being, like, what, 22 of the 26 guys are going to have it?
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Patrick Bailey's got it, right? Has to.
I don't know. Maybe wild card?
Maybe. Regardless, most of the team has playoff experience.
Right, and the White Sox, I mean, I don't know who has it outside of Randall Grichuk and Luis Castillo now. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple other of the vet. Oh, Benintendi. Benintendi has it for the White Sox. Either way, okay. And then the Twins, like their lineup's really good, but I thought they should have maybe added another starter if they were serious, because like their bullpen stunk though, and they definitely did get some good reinforcements for that. Getting AJ Minter from the Mets and getting why is his name escaping me? Jeff Hoffman from the Blue Jays. Let me see some other ones. The Yankees, they get Elliot Ramos, who I actually really wanted us to get, but I actually rather have Joe Adell because we needed more power. Mm-hmm. Elliot Ramos does not offer nearly as much power as Joe Adell. Now, watch what happens. Elliot Ramos will probably go on a home run tear because of where he's playing now. And so I thought the Yankees probably really did need a catcher. I mean, the one thing I'll give the Yankees, they don't really have any place to put him. But getting Luis Garcia, if you can get that kind of bat, is great any day of the week. I mean, the guy's just mashing this year.
I think the thing that sucks for the Yankees is looking at, obviously they wanted a catcher so bad. That was like massively reported from every outlet, was that the Yankees were like going for a catcher, and then their ultimate rival in the Red Sox goes out and gets a division rival in Adley Rutschman, who, I mean, Adley Rutschman, obviously, like the story with him, but guy who's batting what I think like 230, 240 this year.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's always been pretty
and he's
decent
also been on
for
the
a catcher.
injured list.
Well, that's what I'm
times.
saying. He's been injured constantly.
I'll be honest, like Adley Rutschman's been a good player in his career, but
more of a name than a.
I think if the Orioles did it again, like they got to be kicking themselves that they took him 1-1 over Bobby Witt at 1-2.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
they have to at this point.
Like, I just think the Orioles, it's kind of like it shows why tanking in sports doesn't work. Like, they were so bad for so long, and they built this whole thing up with Adley Rutschman and Jackson Holiday both being 1-1s, and Gunnar being a top 5 pick, and the whole, and then they go, and like, dude, this whole, like, we're going to suck ass for 4 years and build up all these draft picks. They've never, that core group, and Adley was like the face of that group, obviously. They never even won a singular playoff game. That's
crazy.
Has to hurt if you're an Orioles fan. And like, I know that they got there, and then Kansas City swept them in that wild card series.
Led by
Bobby Witt. Yeah. So yeah, like the Red Sox. The thing with the Red Sox is it's so hard to tell what they are. I mean, they were literally baseball's worst team the first 2 months. And the last 2 months, they've been baseball's best team. I mean, they were like 23-6 in their last.
I know.
So I think the American League's so bad, but I also think like, okay, I think we're right there. And I actually had heard somebody say that today. Another national, I think it was Ken Rosenthal, was like, my top 3 probably would be the Yankees, the Red Sox, and probably the Guardians. And like the Astros, they're leading the horrible West, but like, they didn't really do much. They got Dalton Varsho, who's a tremendous defender, but
Dalton Varsho.
But he's not hitting much this year. So I think if you look around the American League, the Mariners, I mean, there was expectations for them were through the roof this year, and
they were my World Series pick.
Yeah, there were a lot of people's. Cal Raleigh's had the season from hell.
Didn't we all kind of know that was a fluke last year? Not saying that like.
I don't think to this degree, though.
Yeah, correct. Like, I imagined him batting somewhere between 200 and 220 this year and mashing like 30 to 35 home runs. Like, not doing nearly what he did last year, but still being a very good catcher.
Right. Like, I know the Mariners got Taylor Ward, who I think we must have been.
Love Taylor Ward.
We must have been right there. And I think and the only reason I say that is because I think as soon as we pulled the trigger on Joe Adell, the Mariners got Taylor Ward 2 minutes later. So, like, those must have been the two guys who we were in on, which I would have mind either of them. But the reason I think I might like Adell better is he puts the ball out of the ballpark a little bit more.
Yeah.
Both former Angels. And that's about it for the American League. Like, yeah, I think the Tigers, they didn't like completely unload, like have a total sell off. Like they still have Glaber, who's a free agent. They still have Kenley Jansen. Like the Tigers, I think will hang around. Like they'll be a pain in our ass and the White Sox ass, but they're not making the playoffs.
This does change my opinion a little bit. If you remember, within the last couple episodes, I had said that I'm not counting out the Tigers. And at this point, based off of that trade, like with that trade, I am absolutely counting out the Tigers now.
Right. I mean, you get rid of the best pitcher in baseball. It's hard to keep them counted in. And then, yeah, I think like around the American League, like the Yankees, like you said, didn't get the catcher, so they're going to keep running up. Austin Wells in his 167. It must be in the name, man. Austin Hedges used to hit 167 all the time. So I don't know. I think the moves put us where we need to be now.
I agree.
We also have the benefit of not having a crazy hard schedule, but I think in order to keep the momentum up, you got to take care of business against the Mets this week because you have a huge series this weekend that a lot of eyes are going to be on because I think 2 of the 3 games are nationally televised. The White Sox. And
Big series.
Who would have thought that Cleveland and Chicago in mid-August would be one of maybe the biggest series of the weekend coming up. So you got to take care of business against the Mets.
Which, as we record, they're down 4-0.
That's not great. I saw Joe Adell got a base hit in his
4-1.
Joe Adell got a base hit his first at bat, though. So that's kind of nice. But,
good.
Let's see what we got here. Oh.
Yeah, it's 4-1 now, by the way.
Yeah, Luis Torrens had a 3-run homer.
But yeah, it looks like Angel Martinez doubled to get DeLauder to third. And Joe Adell scoring a run in his Guardians debut.
Yeah, Joe Adell's 2 for 2. Joe Adell doubled to lead off this inning. So far, so good.
And we'll be at the game Wednesday evening.
Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow night. I think that's about it.
Quick question before we go. Obviously, with Skubal going to the Dodgers, what has to be done?
Oh, I think there's going to be a lockout for sure.
It has to.
Because there's a lot of people who, and the Brewers have manager Pat Murphy and their general president of baseball ops, Matt Arnold, have released some weird comments. Like, it almost sounds like the Brewers prospect package was better and the Tigers traded the Dodgers anyway. Now, I don't know how much that was influenced by Tarek. I don't think he had a no-trade clause. I actually know.
He didn't.
No, he didn't. Like, so, I don't know. That's interesting.
Unless they just wanted to do, like, we're going to do right by Tarek, which I don't really think you owe Tarek Skubal anything if you're the Detroit Tigers. The only thing I'm going to say is if the Brewers were involved, great, obviously, but I think the reason teams weren't more involved for Tarek Skubal is because of where the floor and cap are right now, which is non-existent. Like, I think if you know that you're going to end up trading for Tarek Skubal and it's a rental and then he's going to sign a $500 million deal with the Dodgers anyway, why are you going to try to outbid them?
Right, and I also don't. Everyone who is
like everyone's saying that other teams could have given up prospect. They absolutely could have. No one can sign him to a $500 million contract like he's going to demand.
And by the way, everyone who hates the Dodgers, get ready to hate them some more because what they're going to do is going to piss you off so bad because we lock out December 2nd. They will have the extension done with Skubal by December 2nd. Mark my words on that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Mark my words
Probably
on that.
Somewhere in the 10-year $450 million, something like that.
Absolutely. It'll be done. So we hope you enjoyed this baseball trade deadline recap. Brought to you by the Guardians doing something. How about those Guardians? All right, now. But Kevin's going to tell you where you can watch, listen, social medias, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. You can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well as watch us on Spotify and also YouTube. And then, of course, you can follow us on our social medias on X, Instagram, and TikTok at CLE Sports Realm.
All right. Thanks again for watching, listening, and supporting. We hope you enjoy this. And go, Guardians, go. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks, Derek. Thanks, Kevin. We'll talk to you all next week. Where else but on the Cleveland Sports Realm.
Go Tribe.